basic 3-pad filter pump. There are different styles. Some are round, some are square, some have 5 plates. Each plate sandwiches one of these pads. The pads come in 3 densities, if you will, numbered 1 through 3, where 3 gives you the finest pores. That's what I'm going to be using today. Now, if you're filtering a large amount of wine, and there is some sediment or something that you're filtering through it, you would want to start with the number 3s because they'll clog up quickly. Usually number 2 are a good place to start if you're just doing 23 liters. I'm only doing 12 liters today, so I'm going to start with the number 3s. I'm sure it'll be fine. So of course we have to clean everything like we normally do. I've sprayed down all the hoses, I've sprayed down my pails, everything, the bottles are ready to go. I've got a small pail here full of sulfite, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the hoses up on the pump, and I'm going to run some of the sulfite water through the pump itself. Now I clean the pump afterwards, which I'll show you later, but this is just in case there is something still in there. This gives it a good quick clean. And it also allows all the hoses and the drip bed to be sterilized. I've sprayed all this down. So let's hook this up. Okay, so basically we have 3 hoses that we use to move the wine around. There's the main discharge hose, the drip line, and the input line. You'll notice that the input line has a wire so that you can straighten it directly to the bottom of the container. And then there's this little short jumper. The way these things work, there's little claws that grab on the gasket and seal. You just have to work that into place, make sure that it's tight. Now, if you get air introduced at these points, it will severely agitate your motor. Sometimes that happens. You get air in down here, and you'll see the wine foaming up. I wouldn't recommend it. Shut down and solve that problem if you have that problem. But these hoses, they just are a pressure fit on here. Now, I don't have any pads in there this time just because I'm running sulfite through it. Now when you start the pump, sometimes it's hard to get it to draw, so just like when you're racking wine with other methods, you're going to draw it from the hose. Give it a little hand. Sometimes you even have to lift this pail up higher than the pump to get it started. And then once it starts going through, I wouldn't recommend drinking that sulfite water. Now because there's no pads, you'll get a lot of dripping going on here. So make sure that it's tilted in the right direction. And make sure that it's going in the pail. And that can just cycle. That's probably good. Remember, keep in mind I cleaned this the last time I used it, so I'm not expecting there to be a lot of dirt. This is some dust maybe. Let this all drain out. Clean up the part on the floor. And I'm going to drain these hoses. And I'll turn the pump back on for just a fraction of a second. You normally wouldn't want to run the pump dry, but I want to make sure that the bulk of this is out of there. I don't mind leaving a little bit, but I don't want to introduce too much rogue sulfite into our wine. Alright, I'm going to rinse this all off, and we'll be back up here in a second. Okay, now we've racked our wine into the pail, and there's a good reason for doing that. When you put the pads into the filter, they need to be wet. Otherwise, you'll force a lot of air through with the pads. It'll create foaming and aerate your wine. And at this stage, oxygen is needed, so we don't want to introduce any more than we have to. So we're going to wet these. Now there's a debate, do you wet it with sulfited water, just plain water, what do you use to wet it? I don't like introducing water into my wine unless I have to. So I wet it with the wine itself, and I trust I've sulfited it enough to protect it from anything. This is sterile, it's in a vacuum sealed bag, it should be in good shape. I did have one wine one time come back with tasting notes of cardboard. Could it have been from the pads? I don't know. possible, but I'm willing to take the chance. So what I do is I take the pads out of the bag and I dip them in the wine, and I just hold it at the surface, and you'll see a column of air bubbles coming up, and when that ceases, it's full of wine and you can set them in the filter. Now a quick look at the filter plates. You've got the main one that has the pointy parts that the hose is attached to, and then there's two others. And you'll see that there's a hole in the top corner and the bottom corner. Those holes need to line up with the holes at the back of the pump and the hoses at the front of the pump. So everything has to be moving along in a straight line. So I check that first. And then we're ready to insert our pads into the wine. And you just dip it in.
Tilt the bucket more.
Now you might say this is introducing oxygen into the wine. It's possible. It is coming straight up and out. It's not being agitated in. So I think it's probably the least amount of contact with the air possible. And at the same time it gives us the least amount of water introduced into our wine. So we line the holes of the pads up with the holes in the plates. And they just slide right in until the shoulders rest on the bars. I give them a little tap. And I'll make sure all that's lined up before I'm ready to actually start, because that can create problems too. Okay, so we've inserted our filter pads. And we make sure the holes all line up properly. Make sure everything's resting properly. Shoulder on the bar. And then we make sure that everything's lined up. This way too. Put it down tight. And you'll have to tighten this a couple of times, probably at the beginning, just as everything gets moving. You'll also find out if you've got any carbonation still in the wine, because it'll start bubbling around the top quite a bit, even when there's no air going in there. Let's get it tight. Now the end of the metal piece sometimes sticks out. You want to get right to the corner, so I'm just going to push it in on the side of the bucket as close as I can.
We are one and cannot be divided.
And I've got my drain hose and my fill hose going into the bucket.
We have fun and time itself stands beside us.
As soon as you hear that sound change, put everything down inside. That's all sterile and ready to go. Now I can see there's a little bit of agitation and air getting in here. So I'm just going to make sure that all of my hoses are as tight as they can be. Like I said, sometimes that's because there's still CO2 in the wine itself. It is a fairly young wine. That's looking better. There is a little bit coming out through the top. These are the sterile filter pads, so it's a little bit harder for the wine to get through. It's cleared up now, but I just every once in a while, because my machine is old, I tilt it a little bit to make sure that the wine is draining through here. Is this wine filtered? Partially filtered. If I had sweetened this wine, I would keep that separate, cycle it through so that I made sure that there was nothing that came through this hose that ended up in there, or else you risk contaminating the yeast. Now as this pail fills up, the end of the drip hose is going to get submerged in the wine, and you might find that allows this to back up. So just every once in a while, lift the end of this hose up out of the wine, and you'll find that this drip drains nicely. We're just going to let that run. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to take a sample of the wine that's coming out through the filters, and I'm going to test it for sulfite levels just to see where we're at before bottling. And you've seen that one. For more on that, see the video on testing sulfite. Okay, so we've loosened it off. Now we take our filter pads out. You can see there is some change in color, whatever that means. It's obviously taken something out of the wine. Will you lose all your color? No. Will you lose some of your color? It may appear that you're losing some of your color. It could be just that there are colored sediments in your wine, and that's what's being taken out, and that was also making your wine look dark. And once those drop out in the bottle, you would lose that color anyway. Do you ever filter a red wine? I don't, but some people may. I prefer to let time do the trick there. With white wines, you're bottling them sooner to maintain those fresh aromas and flavors, and so it's necessary to filter them to get the clarity that you want. Also, because they are lighter, they will show the sediment more readily.
Okay, there's some Pinot Gris. It's done fermenting. You can see it's kind of pink, more Pinot pink than Pinot Gris. Just a plain old homemade, home style filter pump going there with number 1 pads. Sorry, number 3 pads, the finest that they offer for that one. And it is essentially coming out a white wine.